All right, let's get started. Okay. So my name is Zhizhe Ma, or just call me Aaron. So I will type my name in the chat. Just call me Aaron. So that will be I'm your GT for the summer semester. So if you have any concern for the class or assignment or anything in the class, you can just email me. You can find my email address in the syllabus. And also sent out an email yesterday, so you should have my email address. Yeah, and we have some UTAs. For the UTA, probably I will not let you introduce you by yourself one by one, but please type your name and probably email address in the chat so students can know who is UTA here. And probably, I think next time when you enter the WebEx room, you can change the name uh, like begin with UTA or something like that. Let me type my name here first.
Before we get too far in, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ben Manning. I am the course coordinator here for EC 20007. If you guys have any administrative questions or anything like that, please feel free to send me an email. I do have office hours Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Those are on the office hour calendar that you can find on Brightspace. If you have any other concerns or anything else that you'd like to talk to me about, if you are on campus or if you're around West Lafayette, you are more than welcome to stop by my office. It is in the electrical engineering building, room 264. A few things to keep in mind about the course. In the summer, it is going to be moving very quickly. We're going to be doing 2 labs every week. So that's going to be a total of 4 documents every week that you're going to be expected to be producing. So that'll be 2 pre-labs and 2 lab write-ups. This first lab will not have a write-up, or it won't have a pre-lab, it will have a write-up. It will not have a pre-lab. So this week you'll have 3 documents to do, but after that it will be 4 every week. So just something to keep in mind, this is going to be a test of your time management. These labs are modified to be done in a virtual setting using either an Analog Discovery 2 or LT Spice if you do not have your 82 yet. The link to download that is on Brightspace as well. When you get your 82, you're going to have to download the waveforms application for your computer that is usable for both it's able to be used on Windows, Macintosh, as well as Linux machines. And then same with LT Spice. So make sure you guys download that today. If you do not have your 82 yet, that is okay. Please make sure you download LT Spice. You can do the first lab in there. Hopefully you guys will all have your 82s by Thursday. If you have not filled out the form yet, it's going to take about another week, if not 2, to get your 82. So just something to keep in mind. Please make sure you fill out that form as soon as possible so we can get those sent to you. Does anyone have any questions for me right now?
Yeah, could you let us know when the deadline is for today's write-up?
Yep, so the write-ups due dates are on Brightspace. So if you go to the assignment on Brightspace, you will see the due dates there.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yep. Any other questions for me right now?
So I actually have one. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry. So just to clarify, I see on Brightspace that there is Experiment 1 lab notebook and Experiment 1 write-up. Could you explain the difference between the lab notebook and the write-up?
Yep, that is also in your syllabus that Aaron will go over momentarily. But your lab notebook is where you do all of your notes, right? So that's where you're going to be doing all of your documentation while you're doing the lab. You're going to be writing down your values, writing down brief explanations that you would be doing. Your write-up is going to be a little bit more of a formal document. It doesn't need to be, super long. It doesn't need to be and it doesn't have to be 10 pages long. It just needs to have a little bit more concise writing of what you're doing in your lab. So for example, in each lab, you're going to have assorted tasks. If you would like to just number those tasks and go through what you need to do for each task, that is completely fine. For Lab 5 and your final lab, those are going to be more formal lab reports. So those are going to be expected to actually have your your introductions, your theory, your procedures, your results and discussions, and a conclusion as well. You are expected to still have a brief explanation of what you're doing in each task using, say, an objective and a conclusion, but it doesn't have to be in a super formal setting like that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So no, the lab notebook is exclusively for you. If you submit that, which we really recommend you do, that will allow us to go back and say you did a calculation a little wrong. Maybe you added instead of subtracted or whatever else might have been, and you're off just by a little bit. If you upload your notebook and we can see that, oh yeah, you just made this little mistake here, we can still give you most of your credit for that task.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And for these lab notebooks, would you be accepting PDFs from like iPad notes for the notebook?
Yep, we just ask that you keep it consistent throughout the semester. So if you start in, say, a Word document, continue for a Word document for the entire semester. If you start handwritten, then do handwritten for the entire semester. Your write-ups do need to be typed every time, though. So that's not something you can just write up. That's something that you need to be typing in a word processor every time. This will also be explained in the syllabus. That's what the syllabus is for. You can also see it on Brightspace on the syllabus tab under content. Please feel free to follow along as Aaron's going through that today. All right, if you guys have any other administrative questions, please feel free to send me an email. I will apologize. I did not respond to everyone that sent me an email saying that you didn't get your 82 yet. It's because there were a lot of you. So that's why there was kind of that blanket notification on Brightspace. I didn't not read it. I definitely read your emails. But again, they are coming. So please be patient there. Again, send me an email if you have any questions or if you'd like to set up a meeting time with me. And I will be both in office hours and I will be around in most of the labs as well. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So, okay, let's talk about the syllabus really quick, and then I will talk about the experiment for Lab 1. Okay, so here is the email address for Ben, and here is the email address for me. So if you have any question, just email us. Okay, and you should like read through the syllabus by yourself. Okay, so basically this class is help you to understand the basic equipment for ECE, like the power supply, DMM, and the oscilloscope. Hopefully by the end of the semester, you will able to use all of those equipment, and you can build the circuit on the breadboard, and you can design some simple circuit. And the required material, you should already see the announcement. You will need the lab kit. You need to buy the lab kit by yourself, and also the AD2, which is like borrowed from department. And also you might want to buy the DMM, which is also a very helpful equipment. And for the AD2, make sure you don't lose it and don't break it during the semester, since you're going to return the AD2 at the end of semester. All right, so here is the course schedule. Okay, so today is Lab 1, which you're going to do on slot. So as Ben mentioned, each week we have 2 labs, so it's pretty quick. And we have a pre-lab, start with lab 2, and each lab has a write-up. Okay, there is a write-up template in the Brightspace, so that's for the lab 1. Okay, so that will be a reference for you to write the write-up. But start with lab 2, you will have write it by yourself. So just use the reference. The write-up, there's a short guideline for the write-ups. So the write-ups don't have to be very long, like it's not like a report, but you should include all the data or most of the data from your experiment and answer all the questions. And there should be a short objective and a result section. I mean, conclusion for each task. Okay, you need to show your result and calculations. Okay, just use the template as a reference for the write-up. Okay, then in the lab 5 and the final project, you're going to write a report, and we will send out the template for the report also. And then after lab 5, okay, there's a lab practical. So that's like a small exam for this class. So I will talk about more details for this when we come into that class. Right. Okay, so here is an assignment. You have a notebook, which has been explained before. And the pre-lab is due at the beginning of each class. Okay, so start with lab 2, and then write-ups, reports. Okay. Okay, so due this is already I think published on the Brightspace, so you can find the due dates for each assignment on the Brightspace. Just make sure you submit the pre-lab before beginning of the class, which means the lab 2 pre-lab is due at 11:15 this Thursday. Okay. All right. So okay, so yeah, all the work should be by yourself. Okay, you need to use your own data, own result. Okay. Okay, so this is a great breakdown for the class. All right, so prepare for the class. Okay, so there are some helpful information on the Brightspace. You can kind of prepare by yourself before beginning of the class. Okay. So first of all, there's a introduction video, or okay, so for example, lab 1, okay, there's an introduction video. Okay, so you should probably watch this before beginning of the class. And also you can read through the manual before the class. Okay, and also there are some helpful information. I will talk about it later. Okay, then in the class, okay, before the class, you should have a general idea like what's the experiment will be in the class. So in the class, you can start the experiment. And since me and other TA is here, so if you have any question, just ask us. And after class, you should just write the write-ups. Hopefully, you can finish most of the experiment in the class. Then the office hour. Okay, so we will hold the office hour through the WebEx or Zoom, and according to the schedule, I think we have the office hour schedule somewhere on Brightspace. I will show it later.
It is under the start here.
Okay, yeah, right here.
Why is it not there?
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, we will send publish it on here later, so which you can find the office hour. Office hour will start today, so if you have any question after the class, you can go to office hour to ask TAs. Okay, safety issue, since you're using AD2, so should be fine for the safety issue. All right, that's probably all for the syllabus. Any questions regarding to the syllabus?
All right, there were actually 2 start here's in there, so sorry about that. It's now in the top start here, so if you refresh your page, it should pop up.
My internet is a little bit slow. Yeah, I will show it later. That's what it'll be. Okay, so let's, all right. Okay, yeah, so here is obviously our schedule. So you can find out the schedule here, and we have a link for each TA. So just find the, for example, one of the office hour is right here. You can join the link here. All right, so then let's talk about Lab1. Okay. So at the beginning of each class, I will go through the experiment for each lab really quick, and then it's usually take like 20 or even 10 minutes. Then you can start your experiment. So first week will be a little bit longer since I will need to go through the syllabus. Okay, so the Lab1 is about it's just an introduction experiment. You're going to learn how to use power supply and use DMM to do some measurement. And also in this semester, you're going to use LT Spice to simulate some circuit. So, okay. So not too much need to talk about for Lab1, but there are a couple equations you should remember. The first one is Ohm's law. 1 second. Okay, Ohm's law right here. So voltage equal to current times resistance. Okay, so that's a very important equation for ECE. Okay, you should probably remember this equation. And then another equation is the power equation. Power equal to voltage times current. Okay, by plug in Ohm's law, there are different form of this equation. Okay, so probably you don't have to remember each equation here, but you should remember P equal to V times I. Then plug in Ohm's law. You know any two of the value in here, you should able to calculate the power. Okay. For both equation, you're going to use them like probably for entire semester. Okay, just remember these two equations. All right. So since this semester you're going to use AD2, but in the future you probably will take a further ECE class. So you will need to use benchtop equipment eventually. So I will introduce the benchtop equipment very quick here. So here is the DC power supply. You will see it in the most of the ECE lab. Okay, so that's the DC power supply that will generate the DC power. There's a question in the chat. I will answer it later. Okay, so that's a DC power supply. And the power, you will use some cable to connect the pin over here, and the power or current will come from here. Okay, that's a quick guideline for how to use this equipment. And here is the DMM. Okay, DMM is a very functional equipment. It can measure DC voltage, can measure AC voltage, it can measure current for also both DC and AC, and also there are some other function. But for this semester, you will mostly just use it to measure current and voltage. Okay. This is a benchtop equipment. You will have your own handheld DMM. It's basically very similar, but it covers all the function you need for this semester for the handheld one. Okay, before I talk about the tasks, I want to show some useful information for the labs. Okay. Okay, the internet is very slow here. Okay. Okay, so for example, for lab 1, you're going to use AD2. So I can send out the announcement I sent out yesterday. There's a quick introduction video for the AD2. And also there's a LT Spice tutorial on the course website. I probably will in somewhere here. I will send out on the Brightspace again. So there's a tutorial for the LTPass, the tutorial for the AD2, and also there are some documents for the okay, so for example, here is the handheld DMM tutorial, and also there are some documents for you to show how to use breadboard and also how to read resistors. Okay, I will also upload those later. Okay, there is a question about do you need download LT specs even you have AD2 for the lab 1? Yes, you will need to download LT specs. So, okay, since we talked about the tasks, I will show you what you're going to do for today. Okay, so if you see download this document here, so that's all the tasks you need to do for today. So task 1, you're going to use AD2. For the task 2 and task 3, you're going to use LT specs. So you need to use LT specs for today.
And the LT Spice is also for those people with the AD2, right?
Yeah, so yeah, if you have your AD2, you will need to use AD2 for task 1. If you didn't receive your AD2 probably until end of today, there's also a LT specs version for lab 1. You can do that instead.
So if I have the AD2, do I do task 1, 2, and 3 on that document, or just task 1?
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
no,
do
you
all
need
three.
to do all the tasks. Yeah, you need to do all the 3 tasks here. That's it. Yeah. If you have your AD2. All right, so okay, so task 1, you're going to use a DC supply to output a 3-volt and negative 3-volt, and then you use DMM to measure it. Okay, you can either use a handheld DMM if you have them, or you can use the AD2 to measure it. I actually have my yeah, if you don't have your AD2, you can until end of the today probably you can do the LT specs version. Okay, so if you have your AD2 and if you checked the tutorial before, you should already know. With the AD2, you need this software here, waveform. Okay, so basically the AD2 is a very functional equipment. It covers scoop, oscilloscope. It covers wavechain, which is a wave generator. It covers DC supply and also the voltmeter, and there are also other functions which you probably don't need for this class. But for lab 1, you're going to use So for example, task 1, you're going to use supplies to generate 3 volt. Okay, so I can, right now I'm connecting my AD2 right now. So I just click on the supplies. Then I can change to 3 volt right here. Then I can turn it on. So right now my DC supply is giving 3 volt DC voltage. Okay. And if you see here, this is a pin out of the AD2. Okay, so there are label for each pin here. Okay, so 1 plus, 2 plus, that's a scoop channel. Channel 1, channel 2, positive, and positive. And 1 minus and 2 minus, that's a negative pin. And you see this little black pin here, that's ground. Okay. And then for the V plus and the V minus, that's the power supply, DC power supply. So that's where the 3 volt is coming from. Okay, so this 3 volt is on this V plus right now. And then the negative 1 volt is on the V minus right now. Okay, so after you generate the DC power, you want to use DMM to measure it. Okay, so then I can open my voltmeter, okay, which is right here. Right now I'm not connecting it, okay, but you will use the jumper or the wire or the breakout in the AD2 to connect them. Okay, you can just connect the V plus to the channel 1. Okay, then you will see the 3 volt DC here. Okay, so that's basically what you need to know for the step 1. Okay, so just use DC supply to generate a DC power and use voltmeter in AD2 or DMM to measure it. And then you use this equation to calculate the percentage error. Okay, then step number 2 is you want to measure the 7 volt DC. Okay, if some of you may know the maximum power or voltage from your AD2 is 5 volt. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky question. You want to generate a 7 volt DC from DC power supply. One hint for this is remember the voltage. Okay, what's the voltage measured by DMM is the voltage potential difference. Okay, so we want to generate a voltage difference for 7 volt. Okay. Right, so that's step 2. If step 3, step 3 to step 5, you can just follow the instruction. Okay, so not too much need to talk about here. Okay, any question for task 1?
Actually, I have a question for
Yeah.
part 4. When it says calculate the amount of current that will flow through a 330 ohm resistor, do we have to put in the 330 ohm resistor and test it, or do we just do the theoretical calculation?
For this one, just do a calculation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
So for those who do not have AD2 yet, do we still do the task 1?
No. So if you don't have AD2, you will do this task here. Okay, so just do this 2. So that's basically I think tasks 2 and 3 for this lab.
All right,
If
thank you.
if you don't have AD2 yet. So if you don't have AD2 yet, for right now, just start with task 2 or task 3. If you receive your AD2 later today, you can do task 1. But if you receive your AD2 very late, like probably tomorrow or even Thursday, you can just do the LT spec version. Okay.
I've got another question. For
Yeah.
part 5, it says to estimate the not estimate, sorry, to draw the circuit diagram. Do we have
Yeah.
to use a particular program for this, or can we draw it by hand?
There's no ammeter, I think, in the LT spec. Probably for what I saw for this one, you can draw by your hand. just make sure everything is clear. Like you need to draw the DC power supply ammeter and the 313 ohm resistor. Just make sure everything is clear. Just in later on, if you have some question like this, try to use the software like LT-SPICE after you're familiar with LT-SPICE. Okay. But if you think LT-SPICE is better, you can just use LT-SPICE. For example, you can do something like this and put that in your write-up. Any other questions? All right, so then task 2. Okay, task 2, you're going to use LT-SPICE to build this circuit right here. Okay, which is step 1, build this circuit, and then you're going to run the DC, okay, DC operating point, and then you're able to read the current and the voltage for this circuit. Okay, so in step number 5, okay, so you need to sweep the DC supply from 5 volt to 0 volt to 5 volt with a reasonable step size. What's the reasonable here? Probably you want to take at least 10 points, okay, for from 0 to 5, okay, and then you collect the data like for the voltage and the current for R1 here. And then you're going to plot the IV curve, which is the current and the voltage relationship. Okay, so that's a common mistake here. When we plot the IV curve, which is current versus voltage, we usually put x-axis as voltage. Okay, so you need to plot in some software like Excel. Okay, put x as axis as voltage, y axis as current. Okay, and make sure you label the unit, the axis. Okay, make sure the voltage for the unit for the voltage is V, and the unit for the current is amp, okay, or milliamp. Okay, then you're going to plot the best fit line here and estimate the resistance from based on the best fit line. Okay, any question for task 2? Okay, for task 2, you need to download the LT-SPICE to do this one. All right, then task 3 is pretty similar with task 2. Just instead of sweeping the DC power supply, you're going to sweep the resistor value, and everything else is pretty similar. Okay, I think that's all for today's lab. I think overall, lab 1 is not too hard, but you are going to learn like how to use LT-SPICE, how to use AD2. It's just an introduction. So probably after lab 1, as long as as we go to the future lab, you're going to familiar with AD2 and LT-SPICE. Okay, any question right now? Okay, if not, you can start to do your experiment, and we will be here from now to, I think, 2:15. And if you have any question, you can just ask us. And I think for the WebEx, we can do breakout room. So if you want one-on-one help, I will open a breakout room, so I can assign one of the UTA to help you one-on-one. Okay, any questions?
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So if we don't have the AD2, should we start the experiment with LT-SPICE?
Yeah, just start with the LT-SPICE one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also had a quick question.
Yeah.
Will we be meeting online every Tuesday and Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good question. Yeah, so we will meet online every Tuesday and Thursday from 11:15. And at the beginning of the class, I will talk about the what's the experiment you're going to do for each class, and then you can, like, for the most of time, you can do the experiment by yourself. So I also, although I will record the class, but I strongly recommend you to attend the class, since most of the UTA is here right now, so you can ask questions very easily. Any other questions? Okay, yeah, you can ask question anytime if you want, and yeah, and you can start to do the experiment. Oh, sorry. For part one, there's a question about what pin should be used for the voltage to measure the voltage difference. Uh, so if you see the pin out, the most left pin says 1 plus and 2 plus. Okay, so that's the pin for the DMM. Okay, so later on, you will start to use a scoop. That's also the pin for the scoop. Okay, so basically the voltmeter and the scoop share the same pin. Okay, there's one thing I forgot to mention is the Piazza, which is yeah, so that's the kind of like a Q&A website for this class. So if you have any question, general question for the experiment or for the class, you can post it on this website, and me or other TA will try to answer it as soon as possible. And also, if we have any announcement, uh, we will send out on the Brightspace and also on the Piazza. So In the future, if I need to announce something, I will send out on the Brightspace. So try to check your Brightspace regularly. I just sent out a link on in the chat. So that's not a quick tutorial, but that's a tutorial for the LT spice. You can also find a quick tutorial by yourself on YouTube. And that should give you a general idea for how to use LT spice. But if you have any specific question for the LT spice, you can just ask us. There is a question asking like, is that LT specs can like automatically sweep the DC supply? I think you need to manually change it. I think LT Space cannot do it right now. There is a template in the Brightspace under experiment one. Okay, so for experiment one, you should have a template. That template, or it already includes the the title for the objective and the conclusion. So yeah, you should include the objective and the conclusion. And if it's asking the question, you need to also include your answer in the results section. I just create a breakout session for the students. If you have a question about the DMM voltage measurement, like for example, if you measure a plus 3 volt but keep getting negative 3 volt, you can join that breakout session. There's a TA to help you on that for like 101. Yeah, so there's a breakout session if you can find on the I think somewhere on the participants. So if you have question about the voltage measurement based on AD2, you can go to that breakout session. There is a TA help you on that. think someone may accidentally unmute. Yeah, you mute yourself. Thank you. It's unmute again.